I hope everybody is excited because today we're going to go on a beach vacation. We're going to be going out in the sun and the sand and looking at the waves in the ocean. We're going to be exploring the critters on the beach. We're going to be exploring what the beach is, what the beach is made of. We have lots of questions. We have some fun videos. We have lots of stuff for us today. So let's jump right in. So we're going on a beach vacation, a beach vacation. Vacation's when you go somewhere away from where you live for fun and to relax. And beaches are great places to relax. And let's talk about why they're such good places to relax. Because beaches are beautiful, sunny. Wow. Some of these beaches are from places that are really far away, which we're going to talk about in a minute. These trees here are called palm trees, and palm trees don't live in Illinois. So if you ever see a palm tree on a beach, you know that that beach is pretty far away, and it probably is a vacation destination. A vacation destination, it's fun to say. But first we need to ask ourselves, what is a beach? What is a beach? Well, there's a couple things that make a beach a beach. And let's talk about the very first. Well, a beach, pretty simply, is when the blue water meets the sand. The sand is down here at the bottom, and the water is up here at the top. And whenever those two meet each other, that's called a beach, where the water meets the sand. And we're going to look at our very first video of a beach. And this is a beautiful beach that's very far away. Now, you see the little bit of sand over there next to the rocky shore and all the blue water? That's because this is a beach. Now, as we go over the corner here, we're going to see, whoa, now that beach is beautiful. There's some people down here exploring the beautiful beach. And we can see that the blue water and the sand are meeting together. And that's what makes it a beach. Now there's also cliffs and trees, and those can be around beaches too. But you need sand and you need water to be a beach. Perfect. So now that we've talked about what a beach is, let's go back over to our presentation a little bit. Sand, like we said, it's where the sand and water meet, and sand is small. If we look at what this hand is pouring out, these are all little tiny pieces of sand. You can barely see them in the hand there. The beach isn't one big piece of rock, it's lots of itty bitty teeny tiny pieces of sand. Now, this isn't very easy to look at, so let's go look a little closer at that sand and see what it looks like. With the power of science, with the power of our magnifying glass, we can look at sand up close. Now that is easier to see. If we look at the sand, it's actually made of little tiny rocks. Little bitty tiny teeny tiny rocks. The yellow here are little pieces of shells and minerals. And this gray down here are little pieces of rocks that the water has tumbled around and made nice and smooth and really cool looking. But you have to get really close to see sand like this. So luckily we have our magnifying glass. So the beach is made up of hundreds and thousands and millions of little tiny pieces of rock. And that's super cool. All right. Sand at the beach doesn't have to be yellow. It can also be white. Some sandy beaches are called white sand beaches, and a lot of times they're on islands in tropical areas. Sand can be white, like this. Sand can also be orangish brown. Now, most of the sand that we see is orangish brown. It might look more orange if the sun is out, and most of the time it looks more brown or gray. Sand can be lots of different colors because it depends on the types of rocks that make up the sand. It depends on the type of rocks that are around. So, orangey brown or white. Look at the color difference. Sand can look like a lot of different things. White sand and orangey brown sand. Some beaches are far away. We talked about beaches being tropical and being in very distant areas. Some beaches are far away. Some beaches are so far away that you actually need a plane to get there. You can't drive because look at all this water. All the blue is the ocean. You can't drive in your car across the ocean. Sometimes you need to fly in a plane to the beach. And you need to fly for almost a whole day, hours and hours and hours in a plane to go to some really pretty beaches like this beach in Australia. This is a beach all the way in Australia. Now, this beach looks beautiful, and it looks like there's a river that's coming out of the forest and meeting with the ocean. This happens a lot. It's where the fresh water from the forest is meeting the salt water in the ocean. And it makes beautiful beaches full of trees. I've never been to a beach like this, but hopefully one day I'll get to go. Some beaches, though, are really close by. You don't always need to get in a plane and fly all the way to Australia to go to a beach, because some beaches are really close. They're so close that you can walk to them. Now, I don't know if anyone knows what's right here. This is the United States of America where you live. And there's a little state right here called Illinois, and there's a city in Illinois where you live called Chicago. Now, Chicago has its own beach. You'll notice we didn't say the beach is where the ocean and sand meet, but where water and sand meet. Because this beach in Chicago is actually from a lake. It's from a lake. It's where Lake Michigan meets the sand in Chicago. Now that's a beach. And all these people, you might have seen them at the supermarket, or you might have seen them walking down the street, because all of these people are also in Chicago. Those are the buildings in downtown. You might have even been to this beach, and when things are safer, you might be able to go stand right here. You just put yourself right here in the front, and maybe you can stand there. That would be super cool. I can't wait to go back to the beach. Now, we've talked a lot about what beaches are, but this is Critter Corner, and sand isn't alive. Sand isn't a critter, and neither is water. So let's talk about what lives on the beach. What lives on the beach? What's alive there? Well, if you were paying attention last week, you'll know the first answer to this question. Crabs, crabs, crabs. Lots of crabs live on the beach. Crabs love the beach for lots of different reasons. They build their homes under the sand. And some of the crabs, well, these look like normal crabs, right? They have pinchers and they have cool eyes. They have cool eyes. Those little black things on stalks, that's what their eyes look like. Our eyes are in our heads. But some crabs have their eyes way up on top of their heads, and they can rotate them around and look all over the place. But what's this over here? Is that a crab? It is a crab. It's a special type of crab. We're going to talk about that crab in a minute. But look how weird it looks. Not all crabs look like this. Some crabs look strange. But first, we're going to talk about a crab that you might have seen before, and some of you might have even kept in little aquariums in your house. These are called hermit crabs, and they actually wear seashells on their backs like clothes. Now, if we look at this shell, this is a crab. This is a crab, and this is a seashell, like you would find on the beach. And the crab's body actually lives curled up inside of that seashell, which is super cool. Not a lot of crabs live inside of shells, but hermit crabs are special. Here's another picture of a hermit crab inside of a beautiful spiraling conch shell, I believe. Not very good at my shells, but we can see his eyes and we can see its pinchers. Hermit crabs wear shells like clothes. Like I wear a shirt, hermit crabs wear a shell. I wish I could wear a shell, but there's none that are big enough for me to fit inside of. You can actually find the shells that they outgrow. You might have had a pair of shoes that you wore on your feet at one point, and your feet might have got too big. Maybe your feet got too big for your shoes, and you had to get new shoes. Just like you need new shoes, hermit crabs outgrow their shells, and they need new shells. Now, do we want to watch a hermit crab change shells like you might change your shoes? I think we should, because it's pretty cool to watch. So, before we start the video, do we see this orange crab? It's kind of hard to see, but this is a crab, and these are two shells. And this crab's too big for this shell down here, but this new shell, this white one here, is just the right size, just like a brand new pair of shoes. Now, he's looking at it. So his eyes, and he's taking a look, and he's moving it around and seeing if it's going to be a good fit for his body. And now he's pulling out of his old shell, and that's what the crab's body looks like, and it's curled up inside the shell. And that crab is going to pull its body out of the shell and plop right into the new one. Just like you put on a new pair of shoes. Now the crab has a new home, and it will stay in that new shell until it outgrows that shell too. And then it'll find a new shell, and another new shell, and another new shell for its entire life. It never stops growing. All right. So you can find shells that hermit crabs outgrow. Now, remember that crazy looking crab that we saw? Well, that's called a horseshoe crab. And horseshoe crabs have armor on the outside. I don't see its pinchers, and I don't see its legs. It kind of looks like a football. We can see an eye. It's kind of a scary looking eye, honestly. But this is all covered in armor. Now, we don't see its legs, but it has to have legs because almost all animals have legs, and all crabs definitely have legs. So let's take a look underneath. Let's look underneath. Aha! So the crab was hiding its legs under its shell, under its armor. Now we can see the pinchers right here. All crabs have little pinchers, and all crabs have legs. And you know what this stuff is back here at the back? It kind of looks like, I don't know what it looks like. That's actually its lungs. This is how the crab breathes. They're called book lungs. They don't work like our lungs. The crabs don't go to breathe. They just get these wet, and it breathes for them. We're not going to talk too much about that because that's pretty complicated. But what you need to know is that the crab's armor, and if you turn it over, you see all of its legs and stuff. Now, because horseshoe crabs are so cool looking, I figured it would be also nice to look at a video of a horseshoe crab. So let's go back over here. Now, this is a horseshoe crab walking under the ocean. It's actually two of them. This one on the back is hitching a ride. And look, you can just see its legs moving under the armor. Look at there. Now we can see its legs moving. That's how it walks. It has a lot of legs. You have 2 legs. Horseshoe crabs have like 12 legs, which is crazy. But you can see it walk. Now, it kind of is like a tank. Its armor is on the top to help protect it from things that might want to attack it from the top. But its legs are underneath so that it can walk away. Horseshoe crabs are really old. They were alive when the dinosaurs were alive. And they've pretty much been alive from the time of the dinosaurs all the way until now. Millions and millions and millions of years, and they really haven't changed at all. It's really cool. All right. That's not what I wanted. Let's go back over here. Perfect. So we've seen horseshoe crabs. Birds also love beaches. And there's a couple different types of birds on beaches. And when I say a couple, I mean a lot. There's seagulls, which you might have seen around Chicago. There's seagulls that live here. There are also sandpipers. There's a few around here, but not very many. And pelicans. We've all seen pelicans. They look really unique. They have really long bills. They have really long necks. Pelicans are pretty cool. Pelicans are pretty cool. If you've seen a pelican, you'd know you saw a pelican. Gannets, it's another type of bird that lives near the beach. So these gannets, they nest in numbers, which means there are thousands of these gannets. Look at all of them. Every single one of these little white dots is a gannet, which is a type of bird that looks like this. This is a gannet, and they are all sitting on eggs, like chicken eggs. And they're giving birth to brand new baby gannets. And they nest in big numbers, huge colonies of gannets, thousands and thousands of them. And they all nest on the beach. Now, you probably couldn't go here and put up a tent or sit on the beach. You'd probably get covered in bird poop, and they might be really mad at you and squawk a bunch. So we should probably leave them alone on this beach. But plovers nest alone. So while gannets, they nest in numbers, hundreds and hundreds of them, little plovers, there's only one nest. There's only one nest with 1, 2, 3 eggs. 1, 2, 3. 3 plover eggs. And plovers look like this. This is a little baby plover. All 3 of these eggs are going to make one little baby plover apiece. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3 baby plovers. Now plovers are teeny tiny birds. They're really little. And plovers live in Chicago. There's actually a really famous pair of plovers that live in Chicago, and they're endangered, which means there's not a lot of them left. And their names are Monty and Rose. They just had 2 babies this year, which is really cute. Now, we have a video of some plovers. It's not Monty and Rose, but I figured it would be nice to look at some plovers. One, because there's little plover chicks, and little plover chicks are super cute. So, this is called a red-capped plover. And these little babies, they're trying to get under mom's wing. Because bird moms sit on their bird babies to help keep them warm and safe. There's another little plover baby chick right here. And I think it probably wants in mom's wing too. It's crawling up into mom's belly and bloop. Where'd it go? Where did the plover chick go? I think mom's keeping the plover chicks safe under her wings. Little plovers. All right. The water around the beach is full of fishes. Now, whether these are ocean fish or lake fish, maybe a unicorn fish, and this isn't a horse with a big horn, but it's called a unicorn fish because it has a little tiny horn you can barely see on the front of its head. It's a unicorn fish. And I tried to find out what these fish are called, and I don't know. But they're really cool looking. They kind of look like tigers. We could call them tiger fish. Look at those black stripes. These fish, they're kind of creepy looking. If you've seen the movie Finding Nemo, you might recognize this fish as a barracuda. Now, Finding Nemo makes barracudas sound super scary, but they're really not that scary. I've been diving with barracudas before, and they just kind of keep their distance like any other fish. But they are predators. They do eat other fish. But they're super cool looking. Look how sleek they are. They also have little tiger stripes on their side. Water is full of fish, but it's also full of other critters too. The water around beaches aren't just full of fish. They're also full of cool critters like jellyfish. There are sea stars, also called starfish, even though jellyfish and starfish, they aren't even fish, which is crazy. They're different. They're related to each other, and I think we just call them fish, starfish, and jellyfish because they live in the water. Ooh, and this is called a stingray, and it has a name, stingray, for a good reason, because it can actually sting you. So watch out for stingrays. But there's another animal on here that can sting you, and you should be careful around it. I wonder which one it is. The stingray can sting. The starfish, maybe? Nope, it's the jellyfish. Jellyfish can sting like bees. Sting like bees. You know how bees can give you nasty stings? And that's why you don't want to mess with bees, because they might sting you? Well, jellyfish, you don't ever want to touch, because these jellyfish tentacles, and that's what these things are called that are hanging down in the water. These are jellyfish tentacles. They're kind of like its arms, but their arms are covered in little stingers. Now, we don't need to be afraid of jellyfish. We don't need to hurt jellyfish, but we do need to be careful around them and make sure that we never touch them. If we see a jellyfish, we just leave it alone. Just like bees. If you see a bee, you leave it alone. If you see a jellyfish at the beach when you're on vacation, you should leave the jellyfish alone. All right. Now, while jellyfish might sting, they're also really cool looking. So we're going to watch our last video, and our last video is going to be of a giant jellyfish called a lion's mane jellyfish. Now, we all know what lions are. They have big frills and they roar. This isn't going to roar because this is a jellyfish. But whoa, look how big it is. Now, remember, all of those little things are called tentacles. And those tentacles are what can sting. Now, luckily, this diver's probably wearing a suit that keeps him safe, or keeps her safe. But you want to definitely watch out for these stingers. But this lion's mane jellyfish is so cool looking. Let's back up and watch that just one more time. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's amazing. Jellyfish are super cool looking. All right, let's go back over. We're almost done with our class today. Starfish are the last animal that we're going to talk about in our class. And starfish can have lots of arms. We only have 2 arms. We talked about starfish last week, I think. Or we talked about octopus. Octopus have lots of arms. They have 8. Starfish can have even more arms than octopus. And they can have more arms than people. This starfish has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arms. But this starfish over here, this is called a crown of thorns starfish. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That has 15 arms. That's 10 and 5. 15 arms? That's crazy. Now, it has little pokies on it, but it doesn't sting. Those are actually pretty soft. You could pick this up in your hand. You probably shouldn't. We should leave the animals be, but you don't need to be afraid of these starfish, even though they look kind of creepy. They're not going to hurt you. They're not interested in you. We should just leave them be. So starfish can have arms from 5 to 15. And starfish actually always have an odd number of arms, which means 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so forth. They don't have 2 or 4 or 6 arms. They always have an odd number of arms, and that's just because of the way starfish are. We could talk more about why that is, but it gets too complicated. All we know is starfish have lots of arms, and they're really interesting looking. Well, I think that's going to be about it for us today. We went on a beach vacation, and we talked about things from birds to crabs to jellyfish and starfish. We talked about sand. I think we had a pretty fruitful class. Let me go X out of here so I can see all of your faces again. Hope you all enjoyed your beach vacation. Remember to drink your water at the beach and sit under your umbrella at the beach to help keep you out of the sun. I'm going to take one more drink of water because I've been at the beach for the last 30 minutes. I need to make sure that I'm hydrated. All right, everybody. I'm going to stop the screen share and we're going to jump back over here. It was nice to have you all. Thanks for coming to class. Have fun at the rest of your day. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day. I'm going to go eat some lunch. And I hope you all have fun. I'll see you next Monday for another Collin's Critter Corner. Goodbye. In